Hi guys, and welcome to GetG Reviews and to this spoiler review of Captain America Civil War. So guys, I tried to bring you this review as fast as possible. There are so much things that could be discussed in this movie, and it's, usually when a movie has something so shocking happening, it's a lot more interesting to discuss, but I personally don't find anything, so shocking, so we can, discuss it. I can only tell you that the movie is overall, very logical. Everything that happened really makes a lot of sense, and I really like how they tied up the story of how Tony Stark's, parents died, that it was actually the Winter Soldier that killed them. And this, thinking about it, is one of the most violent scenes in all Marvel movies. As well as seeing that hand of that corpse, in the bathroom, or bearing Zemo, or whatever his name is. And I thought that the Winter Soldier, how his story was explained, how he was brainwashed, it was very, very good, because it explains his behavior and how he acted like a robot without no emotions or no anything, because he is absolutely controlled by the mind control. Literally hearing those Russian words. So everything about Bucky and his story, and how still he was in fact attached emotionally to Steve, it was pretty amazing, because I was thinking back to the first movie and their relationship, and why Captain America is so protective of Bucky. Well, it's because, when Captain America was just a boy without any powers, so weak physically, and everybody is pushing him around, and that scene where Bucky saved him in the alley, he pushed that guy off Captain America, out of Steve, and just kicked his ass and saved Steve. So for Steve, Bucky was always his brother. Their bond is even beyond blood, because they were always buddies for so many years. I think they were, friends from before. So when it came to, Steve getting his powers, of course that now that he's capable, he will do everything in his power to protect this person that was behind him, and that was, his friend, and protected him and guarded him from the world, because Steve was so weak. So Steve has a debt even feeling to Bucky. He just wants to do everything for him, how he felt that Bucky did for him before that. And although we don't exactly see the same devotion that Bucky has for Captain now, we see that he obviously cares about Captain America, but of course we don't see the exact same devotion that Captain America has, just because Bucky is still, getting back to himself and getting back to the person that he was. So maybe if they find a way to delete all that it was done to him, he will be once again that Bucky that Captain America knows, and he will fully remember his relationship to Captain America. So at first, watching the movie, I was like, why is Captain America so wanting to save his friend? He was so sure that Bucky is almost innocent. He was treating him almost he knew already that he was just a pawn, just a victim of the system, of what it was done to him. But then I realized, watching the movie, and then I saw that just, Captain America wanted to do his friend at least this honor, to bring him in. He knew what he has to do. We saw from the previous movie, the Winter Soldier, Captain America is determined to stop Bucky. He just wants to know why, and he is driven by emotion a lot, actually. But in the same way, he's driven by his morals and his vision of what's right. In the movie, we see, the position of Tony. It's really interesting how, if you remember Iron Man 3, how Tony made so many mistakes and stupid decisions, destroying all of his Iron Man suits. I didn't like Iron Man 3 at all. It was so political movie. It was that scam, like a scam. It was like a scam with the Mandarin, and he wasn't the Mandarin at all. And some other stupid guy was standing, behind him that was just holding a grudge against Tony. Just didn't like that whole idea, but mostly I didn't like the fact that Tony was so weak. He shouldn't be so confused about what happened with the Avengers. I mean, he was like, oh, it's so hard to take this all in, and North's God, all those aliens coming from the sky, and his brother Loki, and he's a god, and the Hulk, so many things he had to take in. And I'm like, okay, I mean, you had enough time to process that. I mean, why you have to be so emotionally broken down? I know that what happened was a huge thing that could never happen in any person's life, but you have to adapt to the situation, and you already were there, you already acted, you already fought in this, New York battle of the first Avengers. So why did he have to be so affected emotionally by this? I mean, he could be like, but not to this extent. He acted like all of the people that he ever knew just died, and he's like in shock constantly, and driven by guilt and all that. And I was like, what the hell? I mean, this is so not what the character is. He's so sassy and confident and all that, and all of a sudden he's like a broken man. All of a sudden he's like Batman or something, totally different person. But anyway, about Iron Man 3, my point is that where Tony was coming from in this movie was again the same thing, that he was driven by guilt, and he made all those rash decisions once again. Oh, we have to be controlled, somebody has to do it, somebody has to take my responsibility out of my hands, because I can't do it myself, I can't deal with this. Somebody has to do it, instead of me. And because of that, everybody has to suffer, and Tony just didn't think about that. And of course, what really moved me and what really made me think was that speech of Captain America when they first were discussing the matter whether or not they have to sign. And Captain America was like, Tony, this organization is run by people, and people are run by agendas, and I don't want to be, I don't want us to be like sent somewhere where we don't want to be, or something to happen, and if they don't want us to go there, it's just going to be super unfair, and all of a sudden they just become like soldiers for hire or something, and they're constantly controlled, and if the government doesn't like something, they're just going to be locked up. And it turns out that this is exactly what happened. And Captain America, for me at least, he wasn't breaking the law, he was just breaking the stupid formalities, and he was he was doing what's necessary, what other people just can't see, what the government just can't see. And usually it's a lot different, of course, when you're on the field, you see things from first hand, and when you're just like looking from the clouds and just giving orders to people, of course that such supervision would be super wrong, a lot more wrong than it could be if they just acted on their own will, because they at least have morals, they have the abilities, they have the brains, and they can do what's best. And if government runs things, they're just going to screw everything up. It's just going to be the opposite result, basically. And that argument, what happened with Wanda, and how she did the first thing possible to do, try to contain the explosion, that guy with the skull, crossbones, or whatever his name is. I know that he's a big villain, I think, in the comics, but here he's just used like for 5 minutes, which I don't mind personally, because I just don't care about him. But I mean, the situation and the whole thing that happened, how she decided to contain him, because that was the only thing that could be done in this situation. And really, what was the best scenario here? She could either just let him blow up in Captain America's face, killing like all of the people there, plus Captain America, plus her, Or she could did what she did, just take him into the air, and of course, as the explosion progresses inside, she did the best she could, minimizing the casualties. If the superheroes, Captain America, Black Widow, Wanda, Scarlet Witch, and of course the Falcon, if they didn't do that mission, people would have still died. So at least they did whatever they can to prevent more people of dying by at least stopping a person like Crossbones, because he would have killed like probably thousands of people if he would have been alive. At least that, so their intervention and doing this mission will definitely save a lot more people than kill. And I heard some argument by Grace Endo, and I usually love Grace, and which is very strange because I don't agree with her on like half of the things that she says in her reviews. But one of the things that she said in her spoiler review was about Wanda, that she doesn't have experience, so why is she on the field? Well, what the heck, Grace? How she's going to learn if she's not on the field? That's one. The second thing is, you can really have an experience when every time the situation is totally different. They never had somebody that exploded before in front of their eyes, like in 2 centimeters away from Captain America. They never had such situation before, and if she wasn't there to help with her powers, that guy would have killed, like I said, hundreds, and later in his life, thousands of people. So how the hell is she going to learn if she's not there on the field fighting with the rest of the Avengers? She has to learn how to, use her power better in time, and that could only be done with practice. Practice, Grace. The next thing. I don't remember everything that Grace said, but she usually, touches on everything in the movie, everything possible. And the next thing is like that, the superheroes were too quick to fight. And I'm like, no, they had conflict, they had, discussion about this. It was just something that happened because of how, Team Tony acted, of how they saw things, and they discussed that. They had struggles with themselves, within themselves. How I'm going to attack this friend of mine. They constantly addressed that. They constantly, throughout the fights, even in the fight of the airport, they addressed that. And even Black Widow and Hawkeye was like, are we still friends? And she asked him, and Hawkeye was like, depends on how hard you hit me. So there was humor all the way, there was sense, everything made sense, the humor made sense to every particular situation. The fighting made sense, and how Tony was angry. He never really liked Captain America, and the opposite, we see in the first Avengers that Captain America never really liked Tony, but they tried to maintain their good relationship because of the good of the team, and although they don't agree with each other's ideologies fully, they at least try to be there for each other and fight the common enemy. So in this movie, basically things escalated from both sides, and of course Captain America knew something that Tony did not, and of course the fact that Bucky, killed his parents, and how he knew that. Captain America, how he knew that, Bucky was the one that killed Tony's parents. I'm not really sure, but I think that when in the previous movie, I think that there were some scenes that Captain America was getting information, of course, about Bucky. Trying to find out what happened to him. He got like a folder, I think, in the end of the movie with everything that they could find on Bucky. Of course, that we don't need so much detailed information about how exactly Captain America found out that Bucky killed his parents. He found out. He made his research. He knows. Anyways, he didn't tell Tony. That's the point. He didn't tell Tony. And of course, what he's supposed to do, like, hey Tony, what I did today? I found out who killed your parents. Oh, it was Bucky, and he killed them brutally. No one wants to hear how their parents die, brutally. I'm sure that he wanted some kind of explanation on their deaths, maybe something else behind it and all that. But saying that to him, Steve won't change anything. it would just make Tony a lot more broken and upset than he already is, and he already, shows tons of signs of not be able to cope with everything that's happening around him, and he already has this emotional trauma from his childhood, and now to add more like fuel to already burning fire, it really won't do him any good, except that he will have even more pain to deal with. So I personally don't hold Captain America responsible for not telling Tony, just because I do get where Captain America was coming from and all that. Of course, that in this movie Captain America is going to be a lot more right versus his movie. Second, Tony is really not thinking straight, and he never did. So guys, I don't know what else to tell ya. Just two things that Grace said again. I don't want to pick on Grace. I just feel that she points some things out that are really ridiculous and that shouldn't be pointed out. A lot of other things are really more important, and it's really ridiculous. Like ridiculous example number one, she complained about the scene where Captain America was trying to stop Bucky to fly out with a helicopter. So Steve just grabbed the helicopter with one hand, with the other he grabbed the platform. Well, his muscles flexed like this. So she was like, oh, this was just eye candy porn, his muscles are flexing, and that was just for the audience, or whatever she said. And I'm like, Grace, he is trying to stop Bucky, and Captain America usually just does things, he gets the job done, and he will do everything possible to stop Bucky. And in this case, he grabbed the helicopter. Yes, he's not Superman, but of course that if he does something like that, he will use all his strength. Of course that his muscles are going to flex, and he is Captain America. The whole point of him being Captain America means that he took the serum, he grown in height, in muscle, he put like a ton of muscle for this compared to how he looked before. Of course that he is all athleticism and strength. Of course he's going to flex. Of course that this is going to happen. Of course that we're going to see his muscles. He's a freaking superhero. Superheroes have muscles, and Captain America is practically made out of muscle, like pure muscle. He's not like bodybuilder type, but he's really big, really strong, and we're going to see his muscle because he's a superhero, and they have muscles and they flex because he's doing something that is very hard to do, is very physically demanding. Oh my gosh, what an argument, Grace, are you hearing yourself? Once again, I do love your channel, but this is ridiculous. I don't know where she's coming from. I mean, where she comes up with these things, I just don't know. And the next thing that she said that I found really ridiculous. I mean, there were like a ton of stuff, but I just remember a few which were really, really funny. It's like when that scene at the end of the movie where we saw the Black Panther and Captain America, they were putting Bucky in stasis, they were frozen him up, and she's like, instead of asking how Uganda has all that technology, and how Uganda has like technology, she did say that Tony will be like, oh, they took my technology. She did say that, but in fact they have their own technology. But her question wasn't like how they have this exactly very advanced technologies, even starting with Black Panther's costume made all of vibranium and he's able to move in it. It's not like Bucky's arm when it's full metal, and even that got blown off from Tony's suit. Obviously the costume of Black Panther is very highly technological because he's also able to show his his nails and put them back in the jungle. We have a high-tech lab where he's getting his power, his everything in the facility. I mean, instead of asking this, she asked, what is that statue? Because everybody liked the statue, the whole audience cheered when they saw the statue. What is that statue doing there, and who built the statue? I mean, really, that's your question? Who built a statue? I mean, everybody can build a statue. Every nation can build big statues. Yeah, the statue. That's the big question. That's the problem. Who built the statue? Not the technology, how is there in the jungle, but the statue who built, how is made the statue, and that's ridiculous. Also because not only that statue, like I said, everybody can make a statue, but Black Panther did say that the Black Panther was a protector of Uganda for like years and years, like thousands maybe years. So he probably would have, if he's like a symbol, he would have a statue. Even ancient people built some statues. Yeah, okay. So guys, I don't know what else to tell you. It's just an awesome movie, and whatever you can say about it, I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be something that people could say like negative about it, but I just don't see it yet, whatever that is. Yeah, and the fact that, War Machine got hurt really doesn't bother me. I enjoyed, how Vision was distracted and how he showed affection, some kind of a starting point of affection towards Wanda, and how she kind of showed that as well a bit. So I do like that, and I do know from the comics that they are going to be very, very powerful couple. And I don't know how they're going to do that in the movies, but I feel that it's going to be maybe some kind of a romance between them. If it's not the same in how it is in the comics, I'm sure that it's going to be maybe something similar, but it's a very interesting and curious thing to observe, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'm just happy that the only casualty from this is like War Machine. Yeah, I'm sure that he's going to be fine with the technology, and the fact that Pepper wasn't there and they having a break is totally logical, because how Tony could be. Of course that she's going to be upset because he's so irrational and does so many stupid things and mistakes, and everything is his fault, and everything almost that happened in this movie was his fault again. And the villain, guys, I mean, the villain was smart in the way that he really made them fight, which was smart as an idea, because villains usually just go and blow things up, but this villain wasn't like this, and he was actually a broken man again, so there was a lot of sense to him. And I know that he wasn't the focus of the story, and that was perfectly fine, because he was inserted in throughout the movie, making all those moves that actually affected everything that happened in the movie, but he wasn't, so much shown. But he was the reason of all of this, and the other reason, of course, were the heroes themselves and how they felt about all of this. So it's very interesting how everything like was broken from inside out, and that is as well what he said. I mean, the villain, Baron Zemo. The whole idea very original, and I really, really, really liked it and appreciated everything that was done in this movie. Spider-Man, Ant-Man, so awesome. I don't actually feel the romance between Captain America and, the other Agent Carter, her niece, I think. She did say that Peggy was her aunt. Yeah, whatever. I mean, okay. They are supposed to be together in the comics, I think, so I don't mind. I just don't like that Peggy is dead. I just prefer that somebody made her young again, so she could be with Captain America, so we can see her kick ass in the modern day. That is going to be so awesome, because she's such a good character. She's just wasted, and the last season wasn't that good. I mean, the second season, they ruined a lot of things, and I just prefer that she is used the right way, and she is used so we can see her on the screen. And Black Widow was totally awesome, like I said in my non-spoiler review. So I think that's pretty much it, guys. So we can of course talk about the movie all day and grab a little points from it, but most important thing is I think that this movie was really well thought out, really well written, exceptional lines, exceptional acting, exceptional action scenes, very original approach to the story. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments. If you saw the movie, what did you think about it? Yeah, just let me know. And until next time with Gary G reviews.